The Galactic Federation arrived without noise or fire. Their ships appeared in the dark space above Earth like quiet shadows, large and smooth, floating as if they had always been there. Satellites across the planet picked them up at the same time. Screens filled with calm alerts. There was no attack. No warning shots. Only a message sent to every nation at once. The message was polite and slow. The Federation said they had watched Earth for a long time. They said humans were brave but divided. They said humans fought each other too often and wasted their strength. The Federation claimed they wanted to help. They offered protection, guidance, and order. In return, Earth would follow Federation rules. Many leaders were afraid. Others were angry. Some were relieved. The world had never faced something like this before. Commander Elias Ward stood inside a large meeting hall built under the mountains of Europe. He was not a loud man. He did not enjoy crowds or long speeches. He had been chosen because he listened more than he spoke. The Federation asked for one human voice to hear their offer. Elias became that voice. The alien envoys appeared as tall figures made of light and metal. Their faces did not move much. Their voices were calm and smooth without emotion. They spoke of numbers, risks, and order. They showed images of other worlds they had saved. Worlds where cities were clean and quiet. Worlds without war. Elias listened carefully. He asked simple questions. Who would make the laws? Who would control space travel? Who would decide what humans could build? The answers were always soft but clear. The Federation would decide. Humans would follow. Around the world, people watched the meetings on live screens. Some cheered. They were tired of fear, tired of war, tired of the future feeling unsure. Others shouted in anger. They saw the offer as a cage even if it was made of gold. News channels argued day and night. Experts spoke in long words. Social feeds filled with fear, jokes, and hope. Old borders mattered again. Old fights returned. Some nations wanted to agree fast, hoping to gain favor. Others refused to even listen. The Federation watched all of this from above. They saw protests in the streets. They saw leaders disagree. They saw armies stay in their borders, unsure what to do. To the Federation this looked familiar. They had seen it before on many worlds. Division always came first. Then acceptance. In private meetings, the aliens spoke among themselves. They said humans were clever but undisciplined. Creative but unstable. They believed fear would do the work for them. Fear of alien power. Fear of being alone in the universe. Elias felt that fear too, but he did not show it. Each night, he returned to a small room with plain walls. He recorded his thoughts in short notes. He wrote about the alien tone. Calm. Patient. Certain. That certainty worried him more than threats would have. He thought about Earth. About farmers who woke before sunrise. About engineers fixing old machines with new ideas. About teachers working with too little and still giving too much. Humans were messy, yes. Loud. Often wrong. But they did not stop moving. The Federation made their next move slowly. They did not attack. They did not force. They limited. Some human ships were asked to stop flying beyond certain points. Some stations were reviewed and placed under observation. It was all done with polite words and calm signals. They expected anger. Instead they saw confusion. Crews argued but they worked. Old manuals were pulled out. Forgotten systems were restarted. People shared tools across borders without asking permission. It was not fast. It was not clean. But it happened. The Federation observers noted delays, not resistance. They believed time was on their side. On Earth, fear did not fade but something else grew with it. Questions. Quiet plans. Small acts of cooperation that did not make the news. Elias stood again before the alien envoys. He thanked them for their offer. He said humanity needed time. Time to talk. Time to think. The Federation agreed. They were patient. They believed humans would come back asking for help. As their ships held position above Earth, the aliens recorded the moment as the beginning of compliance. They did not see the mistake yet. They underestimated how humans behave when they are afraid but not alone. The changes began quietly. No alarms rang. No weapons fired. Messages arrived instead, clear and polite. Certain flight paths were now restricted. Some deep space routes were marked unsafe. A few stations were ordered to pause activity until further review. The Galactic Federation called it safety control. For many crews, it felt like a hand closing around their work. The first station to go dark was an old relay far from Earth. It was not important to the Federation. To humans, it mattered. It guided cargo ships and research crews. When its power dropped without warning, traffic slowed across the region. Engineer Mark Allen was on duty when the lights dimmed. He was not a famous man. He had worked in space since he was young, fixing things others had given up on. The station was old, built with parts from many eras. New systems mixed with worn metal and patched wires. Federation commands came in soon after. They advised the crew to stand down and wait for review teams. Mark read the message once, then set it aside. Waiting would mean the station drifting cold. Waiting would mean months of work lost. He gathered his small crew in the main bay. They did not argue long. They all knew what waiting meant. Pilot Emily Ross arrived hours later in a small shuttle that should not have made the trip. Her ship carried scratches and burn marks from years of use. She had flown through storms, debris fields, and tight docks. She trusted her hands more than new systems. Mark showed her the problem. Power regulators locked by remote commands. Control systems refusing to respond. The Federation had not destroyed anything. They had simply told the machines to stop. Emily smiled in a tired way. Then we don't ask them, she said. They pulled out old tools, the kind that did not talk back. Manual switches. Backup lines. Printed maps instead of glowing screens. It was slow work. Screws stuck. Panels resisted. Hands grew sore. The station groaned as power flickered back in small sections. Heat returned unevenly. Lights came on in patches. It was not clean, but it was alive. Across human space, the same thing happened again and again. Ships were ordered to dock and wait. Some obeyed. Others adapted. Crews rerouted systems. They shared fixes over open channels. No central command guided them. Each group solved its own problems, then passed the lesson on. The Federation watched closely. Their observers noted delays. Output was lower. Travel was slower. But it did not stop. Human stations that should have failed kept running. Old ships flew routes marked impossible. Repairs took longer, yet they held. In one report, an alien analyst noted confusion. They do not follow optimal procedure, the report said. Yet their systems continue to function. Mark and Emily worked for 3 days without proper rest. When the main relay came back online, it was weaker but stable. Ships adjusted their routes. Messages flowed again. Emily stayed long enough to test the lines. Then she left, carrying spare parts and notes scribbled on paper. She would visit another station next. Someone else would need help. The Federation sent another message. It thanked the crew for their effort. It reminded them that unapproved actions could lead to further restrictions. Mark laughed quietly when he read it. Not because it was funny, but because it showed the aliens still did not understand. Humans were not refusing. They were not attacking. They were simply continuing. Across the Federation fleet, concern remained low. Humans were slower now. More limited. That was expected. But in the margins of their reports, a pattern began to form. Limits were not stopping humans. They were teaching them. The Federation decided the limits were not enough. More rules followed. More systems were locked. New reviews slowed every launch and repair. Schedules broke apart. Supplies arrived late. To the Federation, this was pressure. Pressure always brought order. Order always brought control. On Earth and in orbit, it brought noise. People argued in meetings and on open channels. Crews disagreed about methods. Engineers blamed planners. Pilots blamed engineers. Voices rose. Tempers flared. To an outside eye, it looked like the start of collapse. Then the work continued. Dr. James Carter worked from a crowded medical lab near Earth orbit. He was trained as a surgeon, but years in space had taught him many skills. When Federation limits reduced medical shipments, he did not wait for approval. He opened his records to everyone. He shared treatment guides, emergency plans, and old research that had never been fully used. He spoke in simple words, not long speeches. He told crews what worked and what failed. He admitted mistakes openly. Some disagreed with him. Others improved his ideas. James welcomed all of it. Knowledge moved faster when it was shared. On Earth, teacher Anna Brooks stood in a small training center that had once been used for simulations. With travel restricted, new crews could not wait months to learn. Anna changed the way she taught. She focused on basics. Hands-on work. Fast problem solving. She trained engineers, pilots, and technicians together. They argued during lessons. They failed tests. Anna let them fail. Then she made them try again using fewer tools and less time. The Federation observed this with growing confusion. Their reports showed humans ignoring clean chains of command. Training mixed roles that should be separate. Medical data was shared without control. Arguments were common. Mistakes happened often. Yet survival rates improved. Repair times shortened. New crews learned faster than expected. In space, a supply station lost pressure after another system lock. Alarms rang. Crews rushed in different directions. Orders overlapped. Voices shouted. Then someone sealed the wrong hatch. Air stopped leaking. Silence followed. The solution was not perfect. It was not planned. It worked. The Federation flagged the event as inefficient but effective. James reviewed the incident later. He added a note to his shared files. Wrong steps can still lead to right results, he wrote. Hundreds of crews read it. Anna used the story in class the next day. Pressure continued to rise. Some humans grew tired. Some lost hope. But many stayed. They helped where they could. They learned from small wins. The Federation expected unity to break. Instead it changed shape. It was not clean. It was not silent. It argued, bent, and adjusted. The aliens began to question their models. Human order did not come from control. It came from trying again. The failure happened without warning. One moment the station was busy with traffic and voices. The next it went dark. Power dropped. Gravity failed. Screens turned black. The station drifted in silence, a cold shape above Earth. It was one of the largest human stations still active. Thousands of people lived and worked there. The Federation announced the shutdown as a safety action. They said the station would be reviewed and restored in time. Humans heard something else. Emergency signals escaped before the systems fully died. Those signals spread fast. They were not orders. They were calls for help. Civilian ships changed course. Cargo haulers. Old miners. Survey craft. Personal transports. None of them waited for permission. They came from different directions, different nations, different crews. No single voice called them. No central command formed. Daniel Moore was flying a repair vessel that should have been retired years ago. He had spent most of his life moving cargo and fixing problems that did not fit manuals. When he saw the signal, he did not hesitate. He opened a shared channel. "I'm on my way," he said. "Who else is coming?" The channel filled with voices. Some calm. Some scared. Some joking. Plans overlapped. Arguments broke out. Daniel did not try to lead them. He listened. As ships arrived, work began. Some crews restored power lines by hand. Others stabilized the station's slow spin. Pilots held ships steady in dangerous positions to act as temporary anchors. Medical teams moved through dark halls with portable lights. Nothing was perfect. Tools failed. Ideas clashed. People shouted, then apologized. They tried again. The Federation watched in silence. Their systems showed chaos. No command structure. No official authority. By all measures it should have failed. Instead, lights flickered on. One section at a time, the station breathed again. Power flowed. Gravity returned in waves. Cheers echoed through open channels. Daniel floated near an open hatch, watching the station come back to life. He was tired. Everyone was. But they kept working until the danger passed. When the station fully stabilized, the Federation sent a message. It noted the action. It expressed concern over unauthorized cooperation. Humans barely listened. In the Federation fleet, analysts reviewed the data. Control had not stopped humans. It had forced them to adapt faster. For the first time, the Federation recorded doubt. Their test had failed. Not because humans fought, but because they worked together. The Federation did not leave all at once. First came silence. Messages slowed. Restrictions were no longer updated. Review teams stopped responding. The great ships above Earth held position, watching, waiting. Then one by one they began to move. Their fleet pulled back in careful order. Not in retreat, but not in control either. Long records were made during the process. Data streams filled with notes, numbers, and quiet warnings. Earth was marked as a special case. A lesson. On Earth there were no cheers at first. People were tired. Stations needed repair. Ships needed fuel. Families needed rest. Humans did not celebrate the Federation's withdrawal. They returned to work. Commander Elias Ward stood again before a screen, watching the alien ships shrink into distant light. No threats followed. No final demands. Only a short message. The Federation acknowledged human independence. They wished Earth safety and stability. Elias closed his eyes for a moment. He felt relief but also weight. Freedom was not easy. It never was. Around Earth, new ships were being prepared. They were not perfect. Some were built from old designs. Others mixed systems in strange ways. None of them waited for permission. Crews came from many places. They shared food, tools, and stories. They argued about routes and designs. They voted, changed plans and tried again. In distant space, the Federation reviewed the outcome. Humans had not rejected help out of pride. They had rejected control. Fear had not broken them. Force had not shaped them. Limits had only made them learn faster. The final record was clear. Humans move forward only when they choose to. And that choice cannot be taken. The Federation marked Earth not as a threat, but as a warning. Some species cannot be guided. They must decide for themselves.